Like Benson, I'm a who that.
I'm a who that.
Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that.
I'm a who that.
Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shade for the championship. Bucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Money like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right. Shout out to the mighty WhoDatNation. Big ups to the fam. Appreciate y'all for being in this one. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate y'all being in the live on this one. And we're going to talk a few news, notes, and items, of course. All things black and gold. Big ups to the fam. Appreciate y'all as always, man. Y'all hit that like button. Much love to the fam. OG, I see you, bro. Jason, big ups to you as well. Pelicans, Nola. Much love to all y'all. What's up, Clint? Shout out to y'all, man. We up in this thing for another one. Also, to let you know, the Sports Coma is brought to you by FanDuel. Y'all can feel free to check out FanDuel, the app, wherever you need to go. You know where it is. It's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, betting platform on the map. FanDuel is available. I think they have, when you look up the Super Bowl odds, I think, I'm going to have to pull them up, but let's see. I think the Patriots are favored by 4.5 points, if I'm not mistaken, but I'll pull it all up. But big ups to y'all. Appreciate y'all for being in the stream. So whether it's in NFL and NBA, MMA, whatever it is, it's on FanDuel, baby. Check them out. All right, big ups. What's up, Dash? Appreciate y'all for doing it in the stream as well. And, man, let's hit that like button and get involved with some Saints talk, man. Listen, bottom line, man, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's Senior Bowl popping right now in Mobile. The Saints are going about the business of a lot of their coaches are down there coaching these seniors up, man. Let me tell you something. We have always had a good feel on talent coming out of the Senior Bowl, right? We all knew that. We always we get the best guys, right? We get really good players. Now, some guys have hit for us. Some guys don't hit for us. We still got a few guys, but one guy in particular on the team who's an offensive lineman who did stellar things at the Senior Bowl, but he's yet to do a damn thing for us, and Nick Saldiveri. So we're hoping that he gets healthy finally and to be able to contribute for the Saints this upcoming season. You know, we did have our fair share of banged up offensive linemen, banged up wide receivers, banged up running backs, just banged up people. But in all, we just continue to build depth and get better with it. So we did solve some issues, right? When we talk about the soft tissue injuries, the decline in that with the team, which was positive. That was always something that we always dealt with at an abnormal rate. But nonetheless, man, we are headed in the right direction, and as far as that is concerned as well. Shout out to my dog Randolph, Keeping It Real, Who Dat podcast. Shout out to you, bro. Thank you for being in the stream as well. And big ups to the fam, man. Anyway, we're going to get into some news, man. Several news notes and items on this show. And this is one right here. Shout out to Yard Barker, why signing Chris Olave to a 4-year, $128 million extension is the Saints' next move. Now, we've talked about this and covered this on the wall, across the waterfront here on the show. We talked about several players in particular toward the back end who we were looking at and saying some of these guys going to get some money. Chris Olave will operate on the that extra year at 15+ mil. So the Saints had, they can kind of, I guess, not be in a rush to do it. But when you talk about guys like Cam and DeMario, who obviously want to get paid, and you heard what Mickey Loomis was saying, he don't seem like in a rush to get these guys under contract. So we'll see what the money looks like. But one guy you damn sure need to get under contract. Well, he's under contract already, but to get the extension done so that help out with your cap money is Chris Olave. If you don't get the extension done this year, then he'll play on that $15 million. We can use a great deal of that money once we rework the contract. And of course, that Mickey Loomis will eventually work it down where he gets that extension where that first annual year will be like about less than $2 million. That goes back on top of the cap. So we're really good at that. Now, currently, over the cap has the Saints trending at over $21 million in terms of the cap that's going on. What's up, Asa? Shout out to Asa, man. Good to see you in the stream. But this is something that we have to pay attention to because we got to get that number down. 21+ mil in the red, according to them. And I mean, that's it's just not a big thing for us because we've seen it a lot higher. We've seen it at 100 million. We've seen it at 80 million. And they were able to chop it down and be able to get to the plus side of it. But anyway, this is what we need to focus on. So Chris Olave is one of the first big shoe to drop in terms of the WhoDatNation that we really need to get under control, right? So anyway, let's get into the article right here that Sports Illustrated, shout out to Kyle T. Mosley. Saints came into the season as the worst team in the league, a disastrous situation at the quarterback position, struggled during the first half, then turned around when Tyler Shuck took over the reins. The entire turnaround included a breakout stretch of games from star wide receiver Chris Olave. Olave finished the year with 100 catches, over 1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns. All 3 marks were career highs for the wide receiver. So he banked out big in a year where he wanted a contract, right? At one point, Olave mixed up in a lot of trade rumors at that point. There was seemingly no chance the Saints would trade Shuck's favorite weapon, especially with how highly Olave has spoken of Shuck and his season with the team. It seems much more likely the Saints will sign him to a contract extension in the same way the Jets signed Garrett Wilson, which is what he wanted. Remember? So projecting what Olave's contract could look like for the Saints. Now, this is the projection. Chris Olave signs a 4-year deal, $128 million. That's $32 million annual average on this contract with the Saints, right? That's a massive deal, right? Right. But it shouldn't be recorded or record breaking. The biggest wide receiver contract is a 4-year, $161 million deal from Jamar Chase. It's the top contract in total value and the average annual value. The man averaging $40 million a year in terms of the Chase contract. That is crazy. The Saints could land Olave at a 4-year, $128 million deal if they would pay him the $32 million per year. Now, the total value would sit between Amon-Ra St. Brown's $120 and Wilson's $130 from last season. Now, the average annual value would tie the A.J. Brown framework and will rank him right below Garrett Wilson. This is the tier of wide receivers that Olave belongs with at this point of his career. If he can stay healthy next year, there's a chance that he can break his single-season mark again. He could be a candidate to hit that 1,200-plus yard mark with Shuck at the helm all season and healthy. Sounds good. While injuries are scary with Olave, it's impossible to deny the ability the Saints need to make sure he stays in New Orleans for the long term. So, I mean, you don't have much of a wide receiver core without him. I mean, to be honest with you, right? Because what we had and what we thought we were going to get with Rashid Shaheed, who's now helping the Seattle Seahawks in the championship game, in the Super Bowl. You know, that's you ain't got much, working in the wide receiver room. Not proven talent anyway, although I do like Devon Bailey I do like Jalen Polk, but a lot of these guys are unproven. They had a few flashes here or there, but have not been proven to show they can be relied upon on a consistent rate as much as Chris Olave's done in his brief time with the New Orleans Saints. So, yeah, to me, it makes all the sense in the world. And then on top of it, none of the other contracts that the Saints are going to sign are going to be record-breaking contracts, to be honest with you, like this massive deal that you see the Saints do with Chris Olave, right? I don't think they re-sign Alontae Taylor, even though I said I'll pay $11 or maybe even $12 million a year for Alontae Taylor. But it all depends on what the Saints are willing to do. Now, we still have Cam Jordan and Demario Davis, and despite the fact that Demario's he wants to use the market to see if he can elevate whatever the Saints are going to offer him and his service, which is smart, which is a smart thing to do. But at the end of the day, nothing that Cam or Demario is talking about will be something so expensive where it will hurt the Saints. Not a mega deal like what we talk about for Chris Olave. And also think that the Saints, they could be cool with letting Alontae Taylor go. Sounds crazy, but why you didn't do an extension for him prior to this season? That's the thing I'm talking about. If you love him so much, I mean, why let him walk right into unrestricted free agency? Why not tender him a deal a year ago before we even got to last year? You see? And then, of course, they were surprised by the production of what Demario Davis. Nobody's seen Demario getting 143 tackles in the back end of his career to kind of spur them to go. Like I told you, if it was 100 tackles or something to that ilk and he finished 100 tackles or whatever it is, it would not have had the same momentum as what he doing career numbers on the back end of his contract. Cam Jordan's 10.5 sacks was the first time he did that, in 5+ years? Double-digit sacks from Cam. So that was a surprise to help foster and spur these two fantastic players to possible contract extensions. Can't say it's extension because their contract run out, but re-signings. 1-year deal on each. And like I said, Cam seems like that I ain't gonna say give him a discount because I want to respect their value, but at the same time it won't be something so expensive where it will hurt the team from fulfilling its requirement of going and get upgrades on the offensive line in terms of the interior line, helping out with depth at wide receiver, perhaps tight end, and running back, and other areas of the team defensively speaking as well, right? Getting veteran, maybe another cornerback. We did add a few players here or there. And I don't expect the Saints to tear up free agency, to go and get a bunch of people, right? I don't think they'll operate like that. We might see 1 or 2 moves here or there. You probably see a starting level offensive lineman the Saints could sign, and maybe another backup lineman as well. And then do a few moves here or there to kind of add to the team. And then when we hit into the draft, start going into that and using bunch of those picks to fill up and do things. So we'll see how much money they have saved. I remember restructuring and doing the off-season calculations in terms of the restructuring on contracts, and I think I got, according to the computer, the Saints between $25 and $30 million in restructured money. So we'll see how it goes down there. But yes, Olave, 4-year, $128 million. Some say he'll have north of $30 million on a 4-year deal. And for those who said he can't stay healthy, I mean, this year he really dispelled some myths, didn't he, family? Be honest with you. Especially when that Carolina game, when he went out to Carolina, he was that game, that was a real difficult game for Chris Olave. And we didn't realize, I was like, damn, this is the game where that was the ambulance game when old boy hung him out to dry. And he left the game in the ambulance. That was some real powerful energy that he had to overcome. But he had one of his best games of the year in Carolina on the road to kind of take back possession of that negative energy there and whipped it, man. It had a supreme talent. So he did a lot of mental gymnastics, man, during this season to get through, and he almost made it had it not been for a blood clot in the man's lung. That's what stopped him. You want to talk about he was on a mission. So, yes, I definitely advocate for that because he has a great chemistry with your quarterback of the future. Chris Olave is a guy he could, and like I said, he was doing a lot of this pretty much by himself. I mean, no disrespect to the wide receivers, but he didn't have a complement wide receiver like some of these other guys have. Like if you look at the Dallas Cowboys, they had two really talented wide receivers for Dakota Prescott to throw at, right? He had two of them. Had Pickens, you had C.D. Lamb on the other side. So if I don't get you with one, I get you with the other one. Chris Olave was basically that guy. Now Rashid Shaheed was here for a little bit, but we didn't really see that explosive element of the offense. He was traded, and then after the trade situation happened, then you start seeing them move other guys into the picture. We had Brandon Cooks here and all this kind of stuff. It was a really crazy time. But after that happened, after week 8, the defense picked up, and then when Tyler Shuck got involved, you've seen him and Chris Olave get a chemistry. And as time moves forward, we should see if any of these other wide receivers, the 11 or 12 other 11 guys that we have in the wide receiver room, and perhaps the Saints will add more, maybe another veteran and a free agency, maybe one in the draft. To the wide receiver room, we shall see. But it'll be nice for one of those guys, or maybe two of them, to develop into a complimentary wide receiver to kind of benefit or take pressure off of Chris Olave, right? So we'll see how it all happens, man. All right, shout out to you guys. Appreciate you. Madden Goon says at pick 8, he says if Downs is there, we get him and let Taylor go. I've been saying this. I think if there's any player that the Saints have probably an issue with, more than likely of letting go, is Alontae Taylor. Because you look at the Cam, like I said, the Cam and the DeMario thing, we knew they were entering their final years, but they had two outstanding seasons that really kind of fostered them saying, hey, we can still play this game. So that was a bit of a surprise. Chris Olave we knew his money. Eventually he was going to get to this point. It was a question early on, is it Chris or is it Rashid Shaheed? Well, the Saints, once they traded Rashid Shaheed, they agreed that it was going to be Chris Olave. Alontae Taylor, last year, the Saints had an opportunity to kind of restructure before or extend before the end of the season, and they just said, you know what, we're just going to let the market do it. He could be lost in the market. Some lists have Alontae listed as the second best cornerback in free agency. It's what it is. We'll see what they do. What's up, Gundam? Shout out to you. He says Mekhi Lemon is a nice wide receiver from USC. They got quite a few guys that even if you look at the Senior Bowl, like some of the guys that they have at that Senior Bowl will be available, and some people looking at in the 3rd or 4th round of the draft. So, but you can use another Vele. Now, we do have the big guy from Canada. I don't know what he can do. He's unproven. But if you can get a wide receiver who's good at breaking tackles and this sort of thing, a big wide receiver who can get yards after catch, that would be big. And the Vele's a big guy. We can use another big guy that can do that. So like I said, it's a lot of wide receivers in the Saints wide receiver room. We just don't know which one of these guys can develop into talent. Now, we've seen them give up with a pick to get Jalen Polk, and I like what Jalen Polk can do, but unproven these guys are. We'll have to see. All right, what's up, Bev? Shout out to Bev, Ross, and all the rest of the fam. Thank y'all for being in the stream, man, y'all. Jack, what's up, Jack? Big ups to y'all, man. As well, we up in this thing doing it, talking to the family members. We are here. All right, y'all hit that like button, man, as we keep this thing churning and moving, man. Y'all put y'all thoughts in about Chris Olave. You giving them that big dough? 4 years, $130 million, baby. That's a lot of bananas there, baby. That's a lot of gold coins, for them, man. So we'll see. All right, let's go to the next article right here. This is also from Yard Barker by way of Sports Illustrated. Early Alvin Kamara buzz doesn't follow Saints trends. This is an interesting take on Alvin Kamara. I don't know if you guys heard about this here, that somewhat of the waiting game for New Orleans. The Saints already signed Julian Blackmon to a deal. That was a good deal to get Julian Blackmon back. Alontae Taylor could be gone. And, of course, the Saints, if they wanted to pivot, like Madden Goon said in the chat, to go to the draft to appease the position, if they let Alontae Taylor go, there could be two guys that you can have that could be available for the cornerback position. Caleb Downs would be a good one if he's available at 8, and perhaps you have a guy like Mansour Delaney. He's another really talented player there. So they'll have a guy high, or maybe even a second round, that you can go to depending on what your big board looks like, right? Depending on what the big board looks like. That's what it all comes down to. So anyway, let's get back to the article. Teams will prepare for the 2026 NFL draft. Each team will have to get cap compliant before the new year league. The new league year for free agency and the trade market will kick off, and then the NFL draft will be in April. There's a lot of work to do. The first thing to watch out for is the financial decisions before the new league year. Right now, according to Overcap, the Saints have about $21 million in the red. So it doesn't sound great, but that's better than what we've seen the last 4 or 5 years. I'll be honest with you. The Saints have decisions to make regardless. Saints will have decisions to make. According to Bleacher Report's Alex Palantine wrote that a story discussing 3 potential cap casualties for each team, but one missed the mark for New Orleans' Alvin Kamara. We'll talk about cap casualty for AK-41. He mentioned number 3 running back Alvin Kamara, $8.5 million post June 1st cut. Ballantyne wrote that the Saints would only save just over $350,000 against the cap if they cut him before June 1st. That doesn't mean the running back is safe, though. Kamara has one of the Saints' his biggest stars since they drafted him, but there's no denying that his age is starting to show. The 30-year-old back posted a career low 657 yards from scrimmage and just 1 touchdown. The Saints don't have clear answers, but they might feel it's best to create cap space. They can by cutting them in June and building out a rotation with Devin Neal and Audric Estime. On the financial side, it makes sense, but this is just not how the Saints have operated in recent memory. Take a look at how last offseason, for example, similar things were said about guys like Cam and Tyrann Mathieu and Taysom Hill. New Orleans ended up restructuring all 3 of the deals rather than moving on from any of them. Tyrann ended up retiring, but New Orleans did not cut him. The odds of the Saints cutting a team pillar like Kamara is slim. Instead, don't be surprised if you see some type of contract restructuring before the new year. So that's my pick on it. Cap casualties is not Alvin Kamara. I don't know Ballantyne what he talking about, if he knows how the Saints operate, but no, that's not a cap. Now, even though Alvin Kamara, we did see crazy stuff that we've heard Mickey Loomis say in time when one of the craziest things I remember hearing, family, is when Alvin had an interview, and y'all hit one in the chat if y'all remember this, is when he kind of volunteered this when he said Mickey Loomis came to him and asked him, he says, hey Alvin, how you doing there, buddy? Where do you want to go? And Alvin looked at him like, you're put one in the Mickey Loomis asked Alvin, where does he, walked up to him and asked him, where did he want to go? And Elvin's like, and I'm like, how do you even do that? To me, that was, Alvin Kamara is the best running back in Saints history. I mean, he got all the records. He took down Mark Ingram, his buddy. He beat out Deuce McAllister, one of my favorite all-time running backs. The Deuce is loose. I remember watching him play. Reggie Bush was another great. And then we go back in time to Dalton Hilliard, Reuben Mays, Craig Ironhead Haywood. This guy is his numbers. He is a Saints legend at the running back position. Plus, he's a scrimmage yard master. Now, I get the 657, but Elvin's still one of the best and well-conditioned players the Saints have on their staff, right? And he took a mighty beating this season with that crappy line early on in the year. They couldn't open up a slither of light to allow him to run into. He'll run full speed for 2 yards. He'll get up and drop the ball and don't complain. Never complain. He did say, man, y'all need to open up some damn, he didn't do none of that. Alvin didn't fuss. He didn't complain. He didn't cuss at his offensive lineman because they was doing crap at the time. He was a real G about it, So I just imagine what he can do when you get guys in there that can actually start opening up lanes for him to run, interiorly speaking, right? We had Penning early on before they traded him to the Chargers. We had Dylan Radunz, who was a tad bit better. We had the Cesar Ruiz, who just continued to be Cesar Ruiz, right? We had and then McCoy got hurt again, and then you had backups for mostly the rest of the season, and they were actually at a point doing better than the starters was early in the year. That's why Audric Estime and guys like that started running. They also opened up, had lanes where Tyler Shuck was able to kind of sneak out there and do his thing, right? But Mickey asked, "I don't line Alvin now. Where do you want to go?" And Alvin looking, "What you mean? What you mean? Where? I'm about to go back to the locker room, back over here and finish cleaning up. What you want, Mickey? Well, just hold on now there, guy. Where do you want to go? Home? Oh, okay. Where would home be? Would it be California? How about New York? Hold on now. How about Seattle? Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, of course, Alvin ultimately was telling him he did not want to get traded. He said it a million times. We covered it on the show that he does not want to be traded, that he would rather stay here in New Orleans. He didn't want to. So I don't anticipate them making Alvin Kamara a cap casualty. Hell no. I think there's a couple other guys, if you wanted to make some more money, if you wanted to, I could give you 3 guys right now. Y'all put it in the chat. We could get cap casualties right damn now. I don't know if they'll do it, Y'all, I know what y'all gonna say if I ask y'all, okay, give me 3 of them. I'm gonna ask y'all if we got 3 players that if you wanted to save some money, give me 3 players that you guys would cut. Give me 3. All right, my 3 would be, and I started at the top. I would say I don't know if I would cut the guy because I would have to end up spending money to replace. What's up, Byron? Shout out to Byron, man. Good to see you, brother. Yeah, so I would say off top it would be Cesar Salad Ruiz. That's right, baby. Only because I couldn't trade him. Remember they were trying to trade him last year and it didn't work. So, hey man, Cesar Salad got to get it. I'm tired of this foolishness at that right guard position. I'm tired of the up and down stuff that's going on. But, there are other guys that can get released. I mean, before you even touch Alvin, you got to look at guys like Kendre Miller who can't stay healthy. You can look at Divine Gacho, who I really like Divine Gacho a lot, but there's several other players that have outperformed him. And he's making $6.4 million right now. That's a restructure or a potential cap cut within itself. How about Isaac Yiadom? Isaac Yiadom didn't look like all that. He was outplayed by the rookie, and I think we can do a little bit better than having Isaac Yiadom. I think we can find somebody that can work well. Hell, personally, I like a few other cornerbacks that I see. I like Rajon Wright, to be honest with you. I think we can bring in Rajon Wright. But that'll be my 3. If you're looking to save some money and you want to talk about cap cuts or cap casualties, whatever you want to call it, that's my goddamn 3 right there. And then we'll go about the business of handling all the business and doing what we need to do to win the day. But yeah, man, we see the time and listen, Ruiz did some positive stuff, man. But listen, for the last several years, I've been saying it's not good enough because the man needs to play better. So I mean, I heard there was no market for the guy, because people can watch film, they can see, and at some point you kind of thought the Saints were looking beyond the position. They might see it, but they just didn't speak about the play. And then later on in the year, you heard Mickey mention it. And Mickey never said nothing like that before. He always would say a general positive comment about a player. Oh, he's terrific. Oh, Cesar Ruiz. Oh, yeah, he's Cesar. Oh, he's just awesome. He's just he's a special player, and and he's great. He's awesome. He's a special. He'll be a Hall of Famer one day. Nah, ain't none of that. He said, Cesar said, we need to see more out of Cesar Ruiz. That's what he said. And I was like, go ahead, Mickey. Mickey actually watching these players. And he's like, yeah, we got to see. Because at some point, you got to put the glasses on. You got to see that the man is not where he belongs in his development. He's not where he belonged, bro. I'm telling you off top, the man had 1 million reps and he's still not nowhere where he needs to be. So, like I said, if you keep him, fine. But open up that spot for competition. We need better play from those guards. We need better play from the guards. And that's what my call on it. So anyway, yeah, we need to go in a different direction when you talk about lining other guys up for cap casualties. Alvin Kamara isn't going anywhere. He'll retire a Saint. All right, yeah. Byron says Cesar Ruiz, Isaac Gidham, Kendra Miller. That's my 3 on. Yeah, indeed. I mean, you can't talk about releasing Alvin Kamara. I mean, even though he had 600-something odd yards, that's still better. That's more yards than Kendra Miller had for his entire career, and he's been in the league for 4 years now. I mean, Kendra Miller, man. I don't know what to say about Kendra Miller, man, except that the man cannot stay healthy. We can't, and that's him as a backup. The man's a backup and he can't stay healthy. That's a bad omen right there, man. If you're a backup and you how the hell you a backup and you stay hurt? How that work? You're going to need a backup for your backup. I mean, that's crazy work. Think about that. The man's a backup player, but he hurt. I don't mean to laugh at it, but he need a backup for the backup. Serious shit. That's crazy work, man, if you think about it, man, that your backup need a backup. I don't want a backup that need a backup. I want the backup to be the backup. I want the backup to be the backup, not the backup to need the backup for the backup. Shit. You understand? Gundam says, Q, it's not like we picking on Cesar, but his technique and yeah, he's horrible. And I don't think anybody will say, come on, Q, you know, y'all being a little too hard on. No, you're right, Gundam. The man is obviously not really living up to the first round grade. I'm just gonna be honest with you on that. The man ain't living up to the grade. Let's just keep it all the way funky with you. And yeah, his technique is bad. I mean, you can see it too. Like when he gets out of his stance, his balance ain't all that great either. His leverage is off. His foot placement is not consistent. Sometimes it's there where he can utilize his power. Sometimes it's not. And then sometimes a good defensive lineman don't even take, a top-notch one, but a real good one that understands that, fire out of his stance and will swim move the piss out of Cesar Ruiz and beat the man like he's sliding on a slick flow. Beats him badly too. I done seen somewhere on film, and we pinpointed this on Patreon all the time, where guys will fire out the stance, right? And guy will swim move Ruiz, boy, and move Ruiz gone become. The guy gone become. And then there was sometimes when you see that he'll double team a player, and then you're supposed to shed off the guy and go to the next level. You double team the guy, give him a little help, and ain't no need for you to stay with him. Slide off of him and go to the next level, catch that linebacker so your running back can get to that next level. We don't see that all the time, and a lot of times he gets there late, and we need better play. And then the spotlight is on him too. I think he got another couple years on his deal remaining, and it's not a market to trade the man. So my thing is simple. Just give him competition. Force his job open. Gundam Axe and Q, when will you put out that mock draft? Oh, you talking about the 50 board that's coming up next week, bro. I have it ready for the Patreon show. For our Patreon and YouTube membership family, I'll have the big board, the top 50, I think it's 50 players. And maybe the next one I might do an additional 50, but I have the top 50 player big board that I was able to do some research on over the since the end of the season. Just been doing research, and shout out to KT and Jim Kev and the rest of the family members sending me film to do film work on some of these players. I've been looking at a lot of film and studying a lot of these players coming out of college, running backs, wide receivers, linebackers, defensive linemen, offensive linemen, tight ends, all of that stuff, man. Just doing the do. All right. What's up, JT? Shout out to JT. Shout out to you, my brother. Blessings to you as well. And shout out to the chat, man. All right. What's up, Nolan? Shout out to Nolan. Says, what up, fam? Ruiz needs to see. Ruiz needs to go. What's up, Slim? Shout out to brother Slim, man. Young City, I see you, fam. Appreciate you as well. Big ups to y'all, man. But yeah, that's the interesting thing, man, that we need to see is that needs to change. Like we got Devin Neal, right? Devin Neal was awesome, but he got hurt. But then we got a blessing called Audric Estime. So shout out to Kellen Moore for going to get Audric Estime, because Audric Estime was awesome, wasn't he? He was awesome. And he ain't cost you nothing. Very inexpensive player for the Saints. They were able to get him. They actually had a running game with the backup offensive lineman in there. You know, our 2 good tackles, and then all those backups, Luke Fortner and company inside. And we had Audric Estime working with Tyler Shuck and giving him a running attack. When I first string Alvin, second string Kendra, RB3 Devin Neal went down, and RB4 was out there running the football. We went down to RB5. The Saints had 5 guys, and of course they mixed Taysom Hill in there, which is going to be an interesting dynamic coming into this upcoming season. And a lot of people are, indicating that Taysom Hill could be done for the Saints anyway. But but like I said, he covered up a lot because Taysom did several things. He was able to play a little wide receiver, a little tight end. He was able to play some running back, play some fullback. He was in there as a quarterback, So missing out on him being there, you're gonna have to get more creative because he does make you lazy. That's what Clint Kubiak's style was when he was in New Orleans. He loved Taysom Hill so much he got lazy to use him. He's like, man, this guy's fantastic. I can use him everywhere. No, you're going to have to know your personnel and be able to work behind your personnel now. But yeah, the running back position has to improve, right? But before we even get to the running backs, I'm going to tell you need to improve the interior offensive line. Whether you hit them in free agency, you got to do better. So that's why I'm advocating for you to get Luke Fortner back. Luke Fortner shouldn't cost you nothing but $3 to $4 million a year. He ain't make that much when he was here. He was on the rookie contract. So you get $3 to $4 or maybe $5 million to bring Luke Fortner back as a backup. Why? Because Fortner has a great chemistry with Tyler Shuck. All that great offensive stuff that was going on with Shuck and the Saints offense, guess who was the center? It was Fortner. I ain't never seen Fortner play as good as he played for the Saints those last several games. If you go back and watch film with Luke Fortner in Jacksonville, it was a different player. Fortner was not confident in nothing. But whatever the Saints had going on, he was totally confident and did a really solid job as the backup center. And you got a guy missing all this time. I think Eric McCoy, one of my favorite players, but he's falling apart. Same thing happened with Ryan Ramczyk to a degree. When you miss 20-something odd games in the last 2-something odd years, 2 or 3 years, that's you can't ignore that. Missing 3 games, 4 games here or there because it's a physical season, but when you missing 20-something odd games, when you miss half the damn year, I got to start investing and looking at it. So I might not want to invest in a young center who might not need to learn the game right now. If I do, maybe I can get a guard guy that I can kind of cross-train as a center, in purpose. Because I got a veteran. Fortner will be in his 5th year in the league. He'll be 5 years in the league. You re-sign him, bring him back on a 2 or 3 year contract. Let him back up Eric McCoy. McCoy here for another 2 years or so. You got a backup that a guy knows the system. He knows what you need to do if something happened to McCoy again. God forbid, Luke Fortner goes in there. He knows the snap count. He has a familiarity with Tyler Shuck. You don't have to recreate anything. You just plug and play. That's the benefit of having a nasty year like we had last year. At least we know we got guys that did really well on the back end that finally figured out the system, right? So we can operate in that vein. So that's my take on it. That's how I would handle it. I got a backup center. I just need to solve the left guard position, which they got a couple of them in there that you could pick up in free agency. Spend some good money. I know I got to pay for Chris Olave. I got to break the bank for him. But at the same time, I still need to spend good on that left guard position, right? Because that kind of elevates the process. I got my 2 bookends. I give me a top-notch guard out of free agency. Maybe give me another offensive guard or somewhere, because the Saints still don't have a swing tackle unless you look at Akeem Richards as the a 6th offensive lineman. That was supposed to be Dylan Reduns. But I don't think Dylan Reduns is coming back. And to my opinion, I think we can do better than Dylan Reduns. a better player in free agency. Maybe we get a couple of guys, one we pay a lot of money for, one somewhere in the mid tier. Then we bring that guy in and let him compete with Ruiz on that other side. You get what I'm saying? We need more competition inside. So that's a way of creating and fortifying a line, because we still have other offensive line. We still got Asim Richards here. We still have Xavier Truss. They still have Nick Saldiveri. But guys like Landon Young and Will Clapp, them guys out of here, man. Those guys are done. These guys can't be counted on. You need a backup for your backup. I don't want a backup that I need a backup for. I want a backup to back up the damn starter and do his job. I know injuries happen, but that's too much repetitive nonsense that I got to deal with people like Landon Young and Nick Saldiveri. And nah, we don't need a backup for the backup. The backup is the backup, if you understand what I'm saying. I'm going to just leave that shit alone. All right, OG. He said, thoughts on the Senior Bowl this week. Good play, man. I've been watching some of these practices from the Senior Bowl, man. I am impressed with a lot of these players here. And the really cool part about the Senior Bowl is the fact that the Saints team is the players, coaches rather, are there getting a first-hand look and at the players, not just looking from the stands and scouting and doing stuff like that, but actually are going through the drills and telling them what to do and literally instructing them. This is a big part of the Saints draft strategy, because they pull players from this game and they draft them. This is something they do. So they doing a really smart thing here by operating in this vein. They got a hands-on approach to these players in the Senior Bowl. So I think it's terrific. Yeah, a lot of really good players out there, OG. I did a breakdown on it yesterday, watching some of these players, man. It's fantastic. All right, big ups to y'all. What's up, Ryan? Says, how do you, he said, how you have the receiver room and I mentioned. Yeah, I did. I talked about Belly. Yes, I did. I mentioned Belly. Yeah, I talked about Belly. He says, once we started throwing the damn ball to him, there was a 2 or 3 game stretch when he just looked like wide receiver one. He was doing real good, but you got to keep it up. Yeah, I mentioned him. He was the second guy I mentioned behind Chris Olave, but you have to understand, you got to do that for a large stretch of the season to be called reliable. You can't do it for 2 or 3 games and then disappear to injury. That's not going to earn you any respect. I mean, you'll get that tag and that label, but he was doing some fantastic stuff. But it's interesting because we were calling for Devon Valley to get involved in the offense early on, but he couldn't crack the lineup. That was strange. He couldn't crack the lineup. He couldn't get in there. Even when he started playing, they didn't go to him. It was kind of weird. And we really didn't see him really step on the scene until they did 2 things. They traded Rashid Shaheed and they cut Brandon Cooks, or waived him, however you want to say it. And then they had to open up positions for him. And I'm like, what? That was you. So it was kind of showing that Kellen Moore really didn't have a feel for who these guys was. He didn't really understand and know. Like it wouldn't have taken me to trade Rashid Shaheed or even cut Brandon Cooks to get Vele involved. He was the biggest wide receiver you had. You must have known something about him. You traded for him, but we don't use him until we get rid of these other guys. Right now we get rid of them, and now you got time. Here you go. But if I'm here, I'm saying, listen, I don't care if that guy there or not. Vele, come on in. Come on and catch this ball for us. Like, he really showed up, but he has to do more of that, is the case. So, yes, indeed. But Jalen Polk is a big part of this thing, too. You don't trade a pick for a player. How often you see that, by the way, family? The Saints trade a pick last year for a player that was hurt that you won't get a benefit from until the following year. It was it was some solid trades the Saints made. The Luke Fortner trade to get Bink Saunders out of here and get a really solid backup was an excellent trade. The Devon Valley trade is still up for discussion, right? But outside of the Fortner trade, that was a solid trade because the Jaguars eventually got rid of Bink Saunders. He ended up with the Jets. He looked very unhappy, by the way. And then, of course, getting Devon Valley and getting him in there. He looked good in those 3 to 4, maybe 5 stretches of games where he was just catching some difficult passes, real difficult passes. He was getting twisted up in the air, hitting the ground hard, and got to work on that longevity. Got to build that longevity up. All right, Uncle Paulie. What's up, Uncle Paulie? Shout out to my brother, Uncle Paulie, man. Good to see you. The great Saint think tank historian is in the building. All right, says if Saints pay Chris Olave mega bucks when the Saints need offensive line, need improvement in a good backup QB and better wideouts, the interior decline needs upgrades, and the linebackers and the linebackers come on. Okay, but yeah, you really are in. I ain't gonna see you between a rock and a hard place, because if you look at it, the Saints, how can I say this? The Saints, from a monetary standpoint, they don't have an expensive quarterback. They don't have a quarterback sucking up $30 million a season, right? We got some dead money, about $67 million worth of dead money on the books. But they don't have, but the way the Saints finagle the contracts of these teams and add void years and agreement, they can manipulate these books in ways that teams dream about. I mean, Slick Mick Loomis is a guy that do it. So I think the Chris Olave thing initially, like when you sign him to that mega deal, just understand that the first year when you do that signing, that first, because that's going to average $30 million a season when that finally gets done, right? I don't know how much guaranteed money it is. I'll leave that to you guys to mull over. But in the end, when you talk about that first year, and that's really how the Saints operate in terms of dollars, and that it is that year the team is operating in free agency wise. Right now, his contract on the books is $15 million. Well, if the Saints get that extension done, guess what that this year will be? It won't be $15 million. I guarantee that shit will drop down to less than $2 million a season. And you get all that extra $13 million back on your cap. That's what Mickey Loomis do. Then he'll do the step pyramid thing, the Cam Jordan thing, except he'll do it with the balance books. He'll do his version with the calculus. But yeah, they'll still address it, because the reality is the Saints they're setting it up where they knew they couldn't pay both Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, so they traded Rashid for a pick. They dialed in and say, hey man, Chris Olave is the guy. So at some point they will get the deal done. they most certainly will get the deal done. And then of course, like I said, whatever DeMario and Cam want, it won't break the bank. And I'm pretty sure even if it's $8 or $9 million for Cam, or DeMario wants 10 or 11, whatever it is, and the Saints and them get close together and make the deal work, I'm pretty sure that Mickey will, will feed dummy money or dummy contract years into it in some kind of way, make it work. So we'll see how they got going on, man. We seeing this all the time, and then finagle his contracts, bro. We seen this all the time. But I think they do hit these offensive line improvements, OG. Uncle Paulie, I think they do hit these needs. Chris Olave needs to get paid. There is a hole at the left guard position. They know. They're aware that Cesar Ruiz is not playing as well as he could play, and there could be competition at that position. They understand the importance of having a really good backup center in Luke Fortner, because McCoy can't stay healthy. So they understand all of this and have said some of this in recent interviews that we've heard. So they're well aware of the offensive line issue, especially you're going to need that for the running attack and the protection of Tyler Shuck, who's the franchise quarterback now. So that's the thing. The wideout Saints have a ton of wide receivers right now. I guess maybe they go, I don't see them spending big money on some of the top guys in the wide receiver free agent game, to be honest with you. But, I mean, they got a loaded room. This is the deepest room on the team. I want to say is the linebacker room. I mean, the wide receiver room, pardon me. They got a bunch of them there. A bunch of these guys there. Thank you, Uncle Paulie. Shout out to you. Gundam says, Q, will you be upset if they get Jared? Absolutely not. Oh, no, absolutely not. I think Jeremiah Love is the best running back in this draft, hands down. There are a few other running backs that are way down that can get you real good value, like the running back from Penn State, Love's partner, who is from Notre Dame, is a good running back in his own right. So, I mean, there are several options further down, right? But this guy is a top 10 player in the draft, Jeremiah Love. Some scouts believe Love is as good as the running back from Oakland. I mean, I said Oakland, from Las Vegas. Some people saying he's better than him. That's what some scouts are saying. I remember reading some of this stuff and hearing some of they equate him on that level. And like I said, the guy's talented, and of course we love our running backs down here, but it don't do him a lick of good if you don't have the offensive lineman in front of him to open up holes. He'd be doing that Alvin Kamara run. He'll run right into the hole, that closed hole for 2 yards and get up and drop the ball. We need better linemen up front. But shout out to you. I would not be mad if Jeremiah Love is the guy they pull, because any help you can give to the Saints, Shuck, is a big help. Anything. What's up, Donald? Shout out to you, bro. Yeah, it's been a while, my man. Good to see you, man. Okapala Secure, you think Bub Means will have a break? That's another one. See, that's what I'm saying. People yelling, people telling me, Q, we need wide receivers. We got about 11 or 12 of them. We got a bunch of wideouts already on the team, family. We really do. We got a bunch of wide receivers on this team right now. We really do. We got a bunch of them. Let me see if I can pull up some of the lists on them here and read them to you. There's a bunch of them that we have on this team, man, to be honest with you. It's a bunch of them. Hold on, let me see if I can pull up the list right here and read them off the Saints website to you guys. Like, man, this y'all, and like I said, I know that they know it's a position of need because the quarterback's going to need guys to throw the ball to. But man, oh man, they got a ton of them, man, on the team. Here it is. Here's the list right here. Let me share it for y'all so y'all can see. It's a bunch of them, man. We got a ton of these guys already. Now, a couple of these guys are free agents. I think Toure is a free agent, but Samari Toure, he's the practice squad guy. We've seen make a terrific catch. Pettis is a free agent. Chris Olave is going to get his money. Ronnie Bell is there. Kevin Austin Jr. is going to be on the team. And let me see if I can go down here, because these are the guys they have on the active roster. They got a lot of guys on the practice squad, too, that they added. Yeah, it is right here. You see, that's the Moose Alford. This is the guy that they picked up from Canada. You got Elijah Cooks here. I don't know if he's still going to be on there, but there are other. They got a bunch of wide receivers on this team. Bub Means is here as well. You see Trey Palmer. People forget about Trey Palmer too. Devon Valley. This is the IR these guys on. Mason Tipton, Jalen Polk, Trey Palmer, Bub Means, and that's a bunch of guys. It's a bunch of wide receivers. A lot of them hurt. They won't be hurt when the season starts. But, you know, Devon Valet, Mason Tipton, Jalen Polk, Trey Palmer, Bub Means, and then you go up here with Elijah Cooks, and I think Cooks might be a free agent. Damian Alford, who they picked up this offseason, will be available. So, like I said, it's a bunch of guys. Now, like I said, a lot of these guys are unproven commodities. They're unproven. That's the thing, you know. They're unproven. The only proven guy you got there is Chris Olave. We'll see what Bub Means could do, because a lot of people thought Bub Means could do what Kevin Austin Jr. is doing, but Kevin Austin Jr. has a benefit because he worked with Tyler Shuck on that scout team. So they got instant chemistry. So we'll see. Like I said, it's a bunch of wide receivers. If they keep adding to it, they might add one in the draft later on. They might add one in a veteran in free agency. But they've added to the wide receiver room, you know, already. And they might feel like some of these guys, we're going to give some of these guys an opportunity to do their damn thing. So we'll see, you know. We'll see what they do. But like I said, it's a bunch of guys there. I was like, man, I don't know if people realize how many wideouts the Saints really have. All right. Anyway, man, let's keep it going here. Paula says, Q, do you think the Saints are going to do whatever? No, I think he'll finish. What do you think the Saints are going to do? Alvin Kamara will finish his career with the Saints. I don't think anything's going to happen with Alvin. I think, if it's 8, they won't pay him $18 to $20 million. That'll be a restructure. But I don't think Alvin has, but a couple years left here. I think, isn't this year his last year? Huh? I think Alvin Kamara, this is his last year. Kendre Miller's too. Let me pull it up on over the cap. I think this is his last year. Yes, it is. Here's the contract according to over cap right here, showing you right here that Alvin Kamara with 2026, $11.5 million. They're going to restructure that. Look at all the voided years in this contract, though. Look, his voided years all the way to 2030. So, yeah, this is the last year for AK-41 at 31. They'll restructure that and kick a lot of that into voided years, adding into this extra money going into the future. So, I mean, yeah, he's on his final year with the Saints at age 31. He turned 31 this year. And then you look at Kendre Miller. Kendre Miller is another dude that is that's on his last year. Yeah, Kendre Miller, 1.5, making more money than he ever did, and he's on his final year. So, like I said, the Saints is, man, no matter how you slice it, they're gonna need a running back, and you can draft one this year. You can get a guy in free agency if you can afford it, but the Saints have all those picks for a reason. They acquired. Remember, they got down to like 4 picks or so, something like that. Then they traded to get more picks from Rashid Shaheed. They started making trades and moves to get some of them picks back. They're gonna use those picks just like they did them last year. They used all 9 of the draft picks. A lot of people, I thought they were going to trade a couple of picks in the back end of the draft to climb up to get a player. The Saints drafted all 9 of the players and kept them. When you usually do that, that tells you that you're trying to build the long way, which is the cheap way. You don't overpay for veterans to come in. You just use the way you got to develop your players into contributors on a team. And it appears that that's the measurement they want to go. You don't accrue all those extra picks just to screw them off, so to speak, right? That's what I'm looking at. That's what I see from them. And we'll see how they go, man, in the end, man. We'll see how it goes. All right, anyway, let's keep it moving. Shout out to y'all, man. Yeah, Gundam says he hopes Alfred makes the team. We'll see, bro. Donald, what's up? Donald says, Q, don't be surprised if Saints draft a tight end. Yeah, why not? Why not? Just as long as they don't do it early. Yeah. Gundam says a lot of pressure on Kendre to produce. Hope the young man can turn it around. Well, it's his last year, bro. It's you either do or you don't. This is his last year. The crap will get up off the pot. That's the bottom line, man. All right, anyway, let's hit this up, man. We got another article. Y'all hit that like button, man. We up in this thing. Saints hoping for another big haul in the 2026 NFL draft. It starts with coaching at the Senior Bowl. Shout out to NOLA.com. Did they think Joel Thomas is the coach at the Senior Bowl last year when he chose to arrive in this year's game? The Saints running backs coach knew he wanted to participate yet again. This time it came with a promotion. Thomas jumped at the chance to be the head coach of one of the 2 teams participating in the College Prospect All-Star event. Last year, that's the first time I ever called plays, Thomas says, so you get that itch. But as he's gone through Senior Bowl week, Thomas has seen an even greater benefit to coaching in the game, one that extends beyond the personal ambitions. He knows that this week is extremely valuable for the Saints, too. In addition to Thomas serving as the head coach of the American team, Saints quarterbacks coach Scott Tolzan, who's the offensive coordinator, linebackers coach Peter Sermon is the defensive coordinator, and special teams assistant Kyle Wilbur is the special teams coordinator, all are contributing in key roles on Thomas's staff. The hope and perhaps belief is that getting the chance to actually coach the prospects in this year's Senior Bowl will serve as an advantage come April when the Saints are tasked with following up last year's successful draft class with another transformative haul. The more knowledge we get, that knowledge is power, according to Jeff Ireland, the Saints assistant general manager and scouting director. The more knowledge we have, the more comfortable we are in our conviction that we have a staff collaborating to take the player. Ireland said nothing significantly changed about the team's process that ended with last year's haul, but the reality is that the Saints had arguably the best draft since 2017, coming away with potential cornerstones at the QB position, Tyler Shuck, and left tackle Kelvin Banks Jr., and at least two defensive starters in Quincy Riley and Jonas Sanker. ESPN ranked the Saints as having the league's most impactful draft class in 2025. Man, hold on now. That's me, buddy. Look at that suit right there. Hold on. But if there was a significant difference, it was with the Saints' new coaching staff. Ireland praised the group, led by first-year coach Kellen Moore, as having a great vision on what type of player would fit their roster. So giving Kellen Moore the benefit, we talked about that. Like a lot of times people would say, hey, Q, that's Mickey Loomis making the calls for these players. And I'm telling them, nah, Mickey listens to his coach. Whoever you want to draft, Mickey Loomis is not going to stand in your way of getting them. If it's a free agent you want, he will finagle and bend however you need him to get the player. He did it for years with Sean Payton. He did it with the other guy we just got out of here, and he's doing it with Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore knows what type of player he wants for his system, and it really works. That vision also changed because of the new scheme in place. Ireland, for instance, noted edge rushers and defensive coordinator Brandon Staley's defense don't need to be nearly as big and powerful as what former coach Dennis Allen preferred. That's a nice little nugget there. The clearer the vision of what they can give to us, the better we can go out and find it, right? They were very clear on what they wanted. The Senior Bowl may help further develop that vision. While the Saints coaches have preconceived preferences for what they want in a player this week, allows those participating to get an up-close look at the prospects rather than spending 20 minutes with a player in a formal interview. Members of the Saints staff have this week to see how they react in various settings, according to Thomas. And the Saints will trust the coaches. Ireland said he and the scouts are focused largely on the national team, since they will refer back to the insights of Thomas and company gleaned from the coaching the American squad. That to me, like, that is awesome, because, you know, you have so many scouting resources, right, that you develop or that you look at or you aim at. For them to say, listen, man, we got the America side, y'all just focus everything y'all got on the national side. That means we're going to have sharp intel from both sides for what goes on. So we might end up picking you're going to get a couple of these guys out of the Senior Bowl, no doubt about it, especially when they get kind of late on in the draft. And, of course, if some of these guys fall out of the draft, the Saints usually are one of the best teams in the NFL of getting undrafted talent that slipped through the cracks, right? We're one of the best teams at doing that. For years, that's been a mainstay. It's a good advantage for us because we got a lot of good information on players that are here. Saints GM Mickey Loomis, who noted that New Orleans has 9 assistants participating between the Senior Bowl and recently concluded East-West Shrine Bowl, which Mickey did say they were there too. If they hit as well as they did last year on another draft, Ireland knows the difference it could make. On Wednesday, the exec was asked about the leap that the Patriots made from 4-13 in 2024 to 13-4 in 2025 with a Super Bowl appearance on tap. Like New Orleans will have next year, the Patriots had a promising quarterback in Drake May entering year number 2. And that offseason, the Patriots found the right pieces to support him. Does Ireland see a parallel between the situations? Man, I hope so, Ireland said. That'll be great. That'll be fantastic. I'd be lying if I wasn't thinking it already. And indeed you do. Anytime you see something like what the Patriots did, when they won 4 games last year, and then the guy steps in here, new coach stepping there, Mike Vrabel, who's a linebacker legend from New England, like Willie McGinnis. What I remember from New England defensive side of it were guys like Willie McGinnis, Ty Law, Buckley, Teddy Bruschi, Vrabel, you know, guys like that Patriots defense. Of course, you know, Tom Brady and all this kind of stuff, but, you know, they had fantastic players there. And Vrabel went there. He understood the Patriot way. He fit right on in. It was a good mood. He was able to get the guy what he needed. He had a really solid draft class. Henderson, the terrific running back from Ohio State, he was there. He cut it up. So, like I said, it was an excellent draft and coaching that got these players in these situations, which helped the team ascend. So it don't have to be a 3-year build. If you draft correctly, if you sign the right people, and your vision is clear, we can make the jumps, because that's been the problem with the Saints this whole time. I've always said the Saints are not a bad team from a talent standpoint. We've always had really good players, but the vision was bad. The last guy was here. He didn't have any vision for how to use these people. He didn't know what he was doing. You need a guy that understands what he needs to do, get the proper personnel in here and make it work. And Coach Staley was doing that all year long when he was signing players that he was familiar with his system. He ain't put a lot of pressure on young people, right? They had really good free agents that we signed, cheap free agents, guys like Blackman, who was balling out in preseason and before he got hurt. Then you had guys like Jonah Williams. You had guys like Bullard. You had guys like Chris Rumph II, you know. He picked these guys up, added them to the team, and they didn't make a lot of money, but they were a part of the rotation that helped guys like Chase Young and Cam Jordan, you know, be able to get some rest in between, and the rotations were solid where guys were firing on all cylinders, and it showed. So, you know, like I said, if you can keep doing that, and of course, Kellen Moore got going later on when the season started, regular season started. He traded for Valley, he traded for Asim Richards, he claimed Xavier Truss off the waiver wire, and then guys started getting hurt down the line. Then he signed guys like Audric Estime, he signed Ethan Hall, and brought guys like that on the team to kind of keep things going. So he kind of got it too later on, got the feeling of the team and kept moving. So, like I said, man, he did a wonderful job in last year's draft, drafting 9 players. All those guys contributed one form or fashion to the team. I want to see what Vernon Brockton do when he comes back. And it was terrific. It was terrific. So I know our offense should be better. We should improve. We just got to get the man some more help on the offensive line and stuff like that. And then defensively, we bring our guys back, add to it. And the special teams have to get better too. My God, that special teams has to get better. We got to get a punter because the Saints did re-sign Kai Kroger. They need to have a punting competition goes along with Kroger there. We need to have we did sign a nice kicker in Charlie Smith. He's a young guy I'm really excited about. And we need better production from the special teams. We got to get us a kick return over there and some help over there to improve because that special teams was up and down all season long, man. But good article. Shout out to NOLA.com on this one. And then, of course, one final one for you guys before I get out of here to talk about here that the Panthers wide receiver Tet McMillan was named the Pro Football Writers Offensive and Overall Rookie of the Year. Now, this is not the AP version, the AP Offensive Rookie of the Year. That doesn't get announced until NFL Honors, which is February the 5th of 2026, right? But he was named the 2025 Pro Football Writers of America, or the PFWA Rookie of the Year and Offensive Rookie of the Year. So he got his accolades right there and got named for Tet. Could this be a precursor to what happens? I mean, the man was fantastic, to be honest with you. And that's why sometimes, you can't always believe the fluff about guys. Remember they were saying about Tet McMillan last year is that the video came out about Tet McMillan, say he's not in love with football or something like that, and he didn't really practice hard and all that. And I'm like, man, if the guy didn't, if he felt like that about it, if he finds a coach that can really get him to, step his game up or love the game or lock in, like the wide receiver coach and offensive coaches did for Carolina, because he was a big part of their success in getting Carolina back into the to the playoffs. Even though they backed into the playoffs, Tet McMillan was phenomenal, man. And let's hit this article, man, and go over it, because Carolina, they should be proud of what they're doing here. A wide receiver, Tet McMillan, was named that. McMillan led all NFL rookies with over 1,000 receiving yards in his Carolina debut. He averaged 4.5 yards per catch and scored 7 touchdowns. Now, the PFWA reports that his season yardage was the most by a rookie in franchise history, while his touchdown catches are second most in Panthers history and the most by any NFL rookie this season. NFL's official Rookie of the Year honors will be announced at a ceremony in February. Now, of course, McMillan was the 8th overall pick out of Arizona last year, and is the first player in Carolina history to be selected as the PFWA's Rookie of the Year. He's also the second Panther player to be the PFWA's Offensive Rookie of the Year, joining quarterback Cam Newton back in 2011. Cleveland Browns linebacker Carson Swessinger was named the Defensive Rookie of the Year, leading all rookies in tackles and tackles for loss. In addition to McMillan, Tampa Bay's Emeka was the other receiver on the all-rookie team. So there you go, and then name that. So congratulations to this young player, man. But this is another honor that he'll be picking up down the line, a bigger line. We'll see how it goes, man, because, of course, we want Tyler Shuck to get it, and strange things have happened before, but it'll be difficult beating Tet McMillan out for that honor, man. So we shall wait and see. He was awesome for Carolina. I mean, give you no lie, man. He was terrific. Without his contribution, I don't see them doing that. All right, anyway, man, shout out to you guys. Appreciate y'all for being in the stream. We're getting ready to get to the end. Let's get some questions and comments from you guys before we leave the stream. Shout out to Donald. He says, Q, the Saints have to upgrade and make changes on the special teams. It have to get better. I like Charlie Smith, though. Yes, I do like Charlie Smith. Kai Kroger was interesting. And to be honest with y'all, when they made the choice, because we was predicting who would make the team, and it was a battle between Kai Kroger and James Burnip. And I was saying, man, Burnip should get it, man, because Burnip got a big leg. He punched the ball very high. And some kind of way Kai beat him out. The Saints went with Kai Kroger. I really thought James Burnip would be the dude, but he wasn't. So perhaps they bring Burnip back. He definitely, Kai Kroger's definitely going to get some kind of competition when training camp kicks in, no doubt about it, man. We'll see. But yeah, Phil Galliano, man, has his work cut out for him. But like I said, Mickey Loomis mentioned this in the press. They talked about will there be any changes to the staff, and he kind of shooed that away, like you don't expect nothing to happen. They're gonna work with what they have and give Galliano an opportunity to turn it around. And to be honest with you, he had a rough time. His top kick returner was traded. His kicker kicked himself out of a job. So we had to switch kickers. His punter didn't punt all that well. He started the year strong, then faded. And then, of course, the coverage team sucked. You've seen a lot of turnovers there. You had the situation that happened with Atlanta. So Phil Galliano, and plus all of the special team statistics are all bottom of the NFL as stats. Well, we can't have. We need all three units of this team playing at a high level if you're trying to do a Patriot jump, meaning go from a little amount of games to even if it ain't challenging to get into the Super Bowl, at least being in a competition for it. Like it's winning, what was it, 7 games or whatever it was that Carolina won for them to back into the NFC South and get a home game. So like I said before, I think it'll be coming up this year. I think it'll be between Carolina and the Saints. We just have to do what we did last year, right, in terms of drafting, picking up some good free agents, and just keep building on what you have. Building on, because the big part is getting an identity, finding a quarterback, getting an identity of the team, and then having these guys to play the right way. We finally got the quarterback. We got the identity. We need to build up the offensive line that can give him a steady running game so you don't put everything on the quarterback's shoulders. And when the Saints gets that together, you can see a lot of stuff happening that's positive. Of course, Chris Olave be healthy. Juwan Johnson, not to be lost among all of the other stuff, but Juwan Johnson balled out. Juwan Johnson actually, and people not really talking a lot about it, but Juwan Johnson, it took him half the year to get there, but he went through a stretch of games where he did not drop a pass. I mean, he was a man possessed. He was a man on fire in some of these games. He was diving, catching the ball with one hand and blocking well. His blocking improved. He locked in and became the tight end that we knew he was supposed to be. We need him to be that guy. The Juwan Johnson we seen the last 7 or 8 games of the year is the Juwan Johnson we need to see for entire 18 or 17-week schedule. That's what we need. We need that guy. That guy is the guy that we paying $10 million a year for. Not that other guy we seen dropping touchdown passes, missing blocks. No. You're going to get that heat because you're making $10 million. You got to elevate your game. He did it on the back of the year, and that's what we like. And he gets a lot of credit for that. So big ups to Juwan Johnson, man. That was a stellar year on the back end, man. H-Town, what's up, bro? Says I have to admit I was a doubter of the organization's decision, but hopefully they continue making good football decisions. Yes, indeed, bro. Yes, indeed. The Kellen Moore thing wasn't really – I was good. We got an offensive coach. I really wasn't really high on Kellen Moore like that. That was a good call by them. At the time, I just wanted somebody better than Dennis Allen and the guy that did the offense. Now, he had a really good resume. He was coming off a championship as an offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. That'll win you over. But then the question was, can he run the offense in a way where, such and such, all this kind of stuff. And the man showed that he has a good temperament. He understands what he's doing. He's not a yeller, but he's a guy that gets his, way. And he developed well into the season, too, because he started off a little goofy. He started off a little Don Knottish. He would be kind of smiling. And then toward the end of the year, you notice he rounded out the edges and became more esteemed. Did y'all notice that about Kellen Moore? Did y'all notice first he was like Opie on the mic. He was smiling and answering all the questions, and he'll stand up there until the questions ran out. But then toward the end of the year, notice how his questions became more rounded out, pointed, and quick. You start seeing his temperament round out, and he became more esteemed, more like an NFL esteemed head coach. I seen the maturation of him. And of course, the Tyler Shuck was the ultimate gamble. A 26-year-old quarterback, spent 7 years in college, had 1 year of production, had a lot of skills, but had several real injuries. He had gotten the label of being a prone injury type quarterback. You put your eggs in the basket with the 40th pick in the second round. You get him, you give him half the season to watch, and then he steps in there and tears it up for you. But the thing that's interesting, I never doubted about Shuckster, is the fact that his temperament, like if you listen to him in these interviews, he has this, hey man, even with all the stuff that he did do that was positive, he said we hadn't done anything. This is what he said. Hell, we ain't done anything. We finished last in the NFC South. We got work to do. So he understands that this is his statement. We didn't do anything. We finished last in the NFC South. But people are like, man, people are feeling like it's very strange because the WhoDatNation is like, man, it's great energy with the WhoDatNation. It was very weird. I never went through in all my years of broadcasting, I never went through a year where we got swept by the Falcons and people wasn't mad about it. We were, I'm just telling you, it's weird. We got swept by the Falcons and people was not pissed about it. Like, whatever. And we swept y'all. Okay, whatever. They couldn't use it on us, you know what I'm saying? And even, like I said before, even when that happened, they fired the coach. I think it was didn't they fire him the same day as them when they beat the Saints? So they could not really celebrate. They say they do. My dog Lo say, yeah, we celebrated. We broke out the brooms. You ain't had time to break out the broom, Lo. You didn't have time to break out the broom. You was too busy celebrating the fact that they fired Raheem Morris. So even the sweeping got caught up. That old Dracula, that old vampire out there wouldn't even let y'all celebrate for the day. That all worked in the favor. But it's like I said, man, it's interesting at the same time because as a team, that's the big part. Getting the quarterback, getting the head coach and the quarterback on the same path. We've seen that. You just got to give him talent around him. We got Chris Olave, give him his paper. They have several wide receiver options that are interesting. We'll see. Juwan Johnson, we need Juwan to keep doing what he's doing on the back end of the year. That was special. Matavo is a big part of the future. He was one of those 2 7-round draft picks that the Saints liked. We seen Matavo get in there. He was making blocks. They lined him up like a fullback. Guy's 6'8", big tight end from UCLA that can help. Now, of course, they'll get an extra tight end because Foster Monroe is done. Jake Stahl or whatever his name is, he's a free agent. So they can be looking at a veteran or, a tight end, or they might draft one later on. Trayton Welch was clean. I still like Trayton Welch. But at the end of the day, like I said, they can add some guys that don't cost a lot of money in free agency, but you just keep building. But the greatest part of the offense is that in this draft, you nailed the quarterback. Right, you got your franchise quarterback, and you got his blind side tackle. You got his blind side tackle. You got the quarterback and the blind side tackle. You got the security blanket tight end. You got the phenomenal, high-paid, going to be wide receiver. You got several wide receiver weapons behind him, right? And then you got the other tackle. You got a center. McCoy can't stay healthy, but maybe this year he breaks the trend and stays healthy. Shit, he had all kind of time. So he should be healthy right now, to be honest with you. And then we just fill in the 2 gaps at the guard positions and keep doing it. You still got AK-41. He'll be 100% healthy. So will Kendre Miller. You got Devin Neal. All these guys will come back healthy for the Saints. And, of course, Aldrick Estime will still be there. And whatever you bring in the draft or add in free agency. So it's all an addition too. Like I said, man. So it's the sky's the limit. It's always finding identity is the major thing. You got the quarterback, you got the identity, build around them, and you should get some success. All right, what's up, Donald? Donald says Staley was a very good pickup at the court. Yes, he was. At first, I was like, what is he doing? Because like the article mentioned that he prefers the sleeker style defensive lineman. Like you look at a guy like Jonah Williams. To me, Jonah Williams is not a defensive tackle. He's like an edge guy. But in Staley's system, he used Jonah Williams to perfection. Jonah Williams was in there handling the business. You had he brought Bullet in here. Bullet put Gotcha on the bench. Bullet was balling in that form, and then you add Chris Rump II, who was also doing it. All these guys had a play for Staley before they knew his defense. And they can also speak to players to tell them, hey, man, this is what you do, because we played that before. And those guys really excelled from rows of reserves to kind of help the Saints out. They really did. Blackman did his thing until he was hurt. And then a lot of players stepped up and filled up. Quincy Riley stepped in when he could. Jonas Sanker was big for the Saints as well. So we've seen a lot of really excellent stuff happen. We've seen the quarterback of the future. We've seen the left tackle of the future. We've seen possibly the kicker of the future. So we got a lot of stuff out of the way in this funky, stanky year that we just got through. And now we go into greener pastures, you know. Let's see what we can do here. So, yeah, Staley was big, man. Him doing that and then understanding what he needed to do and the Saints allowing him to bring guys in, because he just kept adding guys in until he got the right move. And you can see what happened. It finally happened. You see, he got – anytime you have Staley, he can get 143 tackles out of Demario Davis. You know, that simply wasn't the case the year before. He was still balling, but to rejuvenate these older players was not just them, that was scheme as well. They fit well in the Saints defense. They had the rotations going on fire to allow some of these guys to rest and play. And then look how Staley did with the other linebacker position. You know, the Pete Werner, who was a guy that was up and down in terms of him being healthy. Pete Werner was healthy all last year, and he had him in the co-starter role with Danny Stutzman. Stutzman had 50 tackles. Pete Werner had 70-plus tackles. Together, those guys had that much, you know, stacked together, which was really phenomenal. So you had a lot of rested players that were able to move around defensively and do a lot of positive steps over those from week 8 to the end of the year. I mean, you had top-notch numbers defensively that was firing off. They can do that again. They can do that again. A lot of these guys are not going to cost you a lot of money, to be honest with you. Ain't no doubt about it. All right, anyway, let's keep it going, man. I'm going to get ready to get on up out of here. I appreciate y'all. I got a few comments. H-Town, shout out to H-Town, says draft Aaron Anderson or Barry and Brown in the later rounds. You solve the slot receiver and return position. We definitely need a returner, man. We know, I think, you know, we got a few guys potentially, but the Saints really need to kind of pinpoint a couple of return men option for the Saints on special teams. H-Town asks, Q, we need consistency from JJ and Olave, otherwise kick rocks, bro. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I get Juwan Johnson, that's the big thing. Olave was doing similar stuff. Like, don't forget, Chris Olave had a stellar year, but also remember Chris Olave dropped some passes that he shouldn't have dropped. He dropped a touchdown pass in the Miami Dolphins game that would have won us that game. We'd have beat the Dolphins. He dropped a wide open touchdown pass, and I was upset about that. I was like, bro, if you want $30-something million a year, and I know you don't have to be perfect, but try to be next to perfect on a touchdown pass. Try not to drop a touchdown pass, especially when nobody pawing at the ball. He just straight up dropped the damn thing. He just straight up dropped it, and the Saints lost the game. He catches that touchdown pass, they beat the Dolphins. So, I mean, and then it was the Juwan Johnson. He dropped one. They dropped third down passes, touchdown passes throughout the year. You know, that's one of the more egregious things. You never want to drop it. You drop a second down ball, a first down ball. They've done that, but you know, dropping a touchdown ball, that's not going to win you no people. Now you get paid to catch those. You drop them, people get really mad at you really fast. But yeah, that's the thing. Juwan Johnson has to maintain that level of play he was at the back of the year, those last 5 or 6 games where he was blocking and catching. He was dialed in. We need that Juwan Johnson. We need that guy. If he can maintain that, we got something going on here. And like I said, I think Chris Olave will step up. I don't think he takes the money and take a step back. I think you pay Chris Olave, you'll get more of this out of him. I just think he needs help. Like you need another complement wide receiver. You need somebody else. A lot of stuff he was doing, and there wasn't even steady wide receivers. He had Rashid Shaheed. He got out of here. Brandon Cooks was over there. Then he gets out of here. Then you got Vele. He's still learning, and he gets hurt. Then another guy is there. So Chris is like, he's basically the guy, and everybody else is just, coming in. if he had a compliment, to him, I think that would really like take his game to another level. But to get 100 catches, and he's basically the only wide receiver, you got to respect his mind. All right, Saints Full Circle Podcast. What's up, brother? Say, I need David Bailey at 8Q. You need that defensive end. I got you, brother. Shout out to you. L-Dub says we should be happy that we got a coach last year instead of this year with all the coaching vacancies that were open. No telling who we would have gotten. Indeed, I'm happy with Kellen Moore. Obviously, we all are. It's a lot of coaching hires that are head scratchers to me. I don't know Miami. I don't know what Miami doing. They let McDaniel go and they bring this other guy from Green Bay. I don't know. I thought Miami would benefit from having an offensive-minded coach. They win defense. We'll see. Cleveland end up getting the former offensive coordinator from the Baltimore Ravens, Todd Monken. So he worked with Lamar in Baltimore. Could he help, in Cleveland? And they did the right thing because they needed an offensive-minded guy there. But they need somebody that's good at talking to the quarterback. And Monken seems, he has some positive and some negative, but I see him as an upgrade to the other guy, to be honest with you. The other guy, his personality stunk. He was horrible with dealing with quarterbacks, and that'll be his major flaw. That won't change that he's down in in Atlanta. But, yeah, some curious curious moves here. I don't know what the former Bills coach McDermott's going to do, but if I'm the Raiders, I'm bringing McDermott in there. I need a coach that understands what it takes to win, and I'm pretty sure the Raiders would accept the level of what the Bills was getting the last 4+ odd years of how long McDermott was out there for years since he left Andy Reid in Buffalo and built them up into something. Remember, they wasn't hitting on nothing. They wasn't hitting on nothing till the man built them up. So, there's the Bills move, getting Brady over there. I knew that was going to happen. I know eventually that guy was on a rocket ship. Sooner or later, he'll get a head coaching job, and you best believe Josh Allen had something to do with that. You best believe. If you got a franchise quarterback in your pocket and you're an offensive coordinator and they fired the guy over you, guess what? You might be the guy to get the job. So I think that they have a good connection there. I think that should unlock and Josh Allen to a degree. We'll see how it works in Buffalo, man. We'll see how Brady does, man. But congratulations to him, man, former LSU guy. All right, anyway, yeah, it's a lot of crazy coaches going on out there. There's still a couple of vacancies out there, man, as well. All right, what's up, Poppy? Shout out to Poppy 504. Big ups to you, brother. Yeah, Cam's the man, says Donald. Shout out to brother Donald. Jonathan Bullitt was huge. Indeed, man. All these guys, and like I said, they're cheap. They're all cheap. The Saints have all of the guys, and I don't think all these guys are going to be people going to be running after them. They fit well in the system. They could be brought back on cheap deals. It won't eat up your money. That you can be able to pay Chris Olave, and then this year they'll rework the money where it's in the $2 million on this year's cap, which will free additional revenue for you to be able to add to getting a splash player, maybe one. I'm thinking the Saints go for maybe one tier 1 player, like an offensive lineman. The biggest need is the left guard need. You had a hole at the left guard position. You can go and get one of the top offensive guards in the league and plug him there. Bring back Fortner. Add another second-tier guard, or offensive lineman in free agency. And then the rest of them are veteran players. You can add a veteran tight end later on. You can get, bring the guys we just talked about back on defense. You can add a few people. And then the Saints going to do their due diligence and hit that draft up with what we have 7 or 8 picks we have this year. And they'll fill in a lot of these spots. But it feels good when you solve the big needs in free agency. And then when you hit the draft, all you do is just hit people off your big board. You're drafting talent as opposed to need. Because when you start drafting for need, that's when you get in trouble. So if you hit free agency and you fill in those needs, you get the left guard, you get another offensive lineman that can provide competition for Ruiz. You do all the other stuff we talked about, and then you hit the draft, and you just go to your big board and pull talent down. That way you don't have to get in trouble reaching for people in the draft. That way you get in trouble. You start reaching for people in the draft. No. We don't need to do that. Just hit that off that free agency, get your guys, and then hit the draft and get talent. We can put talented players anywhere. All right, that's the game. You do that, man, we winning big time. What's up, Byron? All right. Yeah, Paulie says, Q, do you think Spencer Rattler will give Tyler Shough sleepless nights for the starting? No, absolutely not. It's Tyler Shough's team now, bro. Spencer Rattler had a chance, and to be honest with you, Kellen Moore gave Spencer Rattler a chance, and it just didn't work. It was drastically different, night and day almost. I would say when you have Spencer Rattler in there versus Tyler Shough. Tyler Shough won what? He played 9 games. He was 5-4. Really, he should have been 6-3 with the Miami Dolphin game. We should have won that game. So what I'm saying is, it was historic statistically speaking, because we never seen a rookie quarterback. The last bunch of rookie quarterbacks we had, man, they could not win more than 3 games if they started for you in a season. This guy came in there, and he's an older man. He's 26 years old, so he's mature, married, mature, has child. I think got a kid and everything. So he has 7 years of college. So it's a different level. The processing speed, the understanding. He still have his athletic temperament, his ability, and it's a different player, right? Than a 21-year-old fresh out, this type of thing. You got a 26-year-old quarterback with all this athletic ability, so he can dissect the game a little faster. His learning curve is not as long. No disrespect to the younger player. I'm just saying, that comes with the maturity, so it's just a part of the game. And plus, they started building the offense in his favor. You start seeing his fingerprints on the offense. You start seeing the plays that Tyler Shough liked to run, and Kellen Moore was running them. It wasn't so much, I'm telling you what to do, you're going to go out and do it, versus now, what one you want to run? You want to run this one? No, let's not run. Let's do this one. I can do this sort of thing. Like, they started wrapping that offense around that, man. Once you do that, it's over with. Yeah, that's his team. So no, there's no sleepless nights from Tyler Shough. Plus, he put they put that Tom Benson, that Gale suit on. Once they do that, man, that's paying dues, so to speak. If you know what I mean, baby. If you know what I mean, let's just keep it all the way funky. All right, shout out to you, Uncle Paulie. Brian Brissy, he says it has to stay healthy. Indeed, Brian Brissy, we got to watch out for him. But hopefully he'll be healthy coming back. He had a little snafu there. But I anticipate a lot of these Saints guys will be back. A lot of the players will be back for training camp, man. A lot of them will be back in time. All right, Brother Byron says Carnell Tate told people he choose our QB Tyler Shough. He wants to be a Saint. Yeah, and that's the thing. It depends, man. It depends what we're doing for agency. Like I said, you make a board. The Saints will make a draft board. You might put 100 people on that board. They'll make a draft board as long as they could, and then they'll label them quarterbacks the favorite one. I mean, not quarterbacks. They'll go player for player according to a number who they see as, man, this guy, you got to get this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. And they'll go down the line one after the other. And that's how a lot of teams be drafting, based on the rankings of what the scouts is telling. Hey, man, this is the guy. If it happens to be the player, happens to fit a need, then that's more the merrier. But sometimes you might get a player that fall to you that you can't pass up. You be like, man, we got to find a place for this guy. This guy is rated as we are picking at 8, and we got this guy on our big board at 3. And he fell to us. Oh, my God. You have to, like I said, if Ruben Bain falls to you at 8, you're going to take Ruben Bain. You're not going to let Bain go and pick Carnell Tate or Monsoon or any of Fano or any of these other guys. If Bain falls to you at 8 and there's nothing wrong with him, then hell yeah, you're gonna take Bain. You're like, well, we got Cam back. I don't care. You can never have too many edge rushers. Just saying, man. When your board dominates it, that keeps all the confusion out of what player should we take and all that. Nah, we gonna peel off this big board right here. This is how we gonna do it, and it works. It really do. All right. Anyway, let's keep it going. Y'all got any more questions? We're gonna go keep this thing turning and twisting. Y'all got a lot. What's up, Big Valley? Shout out to you, brother. Much love to you, my brother. Appreciate you, man. All right. Uncle Paulie says, Q, I'm glad Peyton and Dennis Allen didn't make it to the didn't make it to the Super Bowl. I thought it might be Sean Super Bowl versus McVay versus Sean Payton almost. Yeah. No, but it's not only that, though. I found it so really weird to see Sean Payton in what is his second year? How long has Sean Payton been gone? What, about 3 years? It's been about 2 or 3 years. Y'all put it in the chat since Payton been over there with Denver. I think it's about 3 years now, ain't it? But Sean Payton took them people and got them that far, right? He fired a couple of coaches. He fired Lombardi, his boy, the offensive coordinator. He fired him. He fired a couple of coaches. So he's still Sean Payton, but you can see he still has that fear, that competitive nature has not left him. Coach Payton still is as competitive as ever. And he got his, he wants to get back there. Next year, he going to do everything he can to get there. He know the way it ended was really just heartbreaking. But he'll do everything he can to get back there. But seeing Coach Payton get as far as he did, seeing Dennis Allen do what he did with the Chi-Town Bears. The Bears have been a losing stock and a laughing stock for a long time. And for them to have success, Coach Payton to get the Broncos, make them relevant, getting them a deep playoff run. And then not only that, but seeing Clint Kubiak, who his team is in the Super Bowl right now. Clint Kubiak is the offensive coordinator for the Seattle team. He's in the Super Bowl. And Clint Kubiak, if Seattle wins, or even if they don't win, Clint Kubiak, they have teams waiting on these coaches, some of these coaches, and word on the street is Clint Kubiak could probably get one of these jobs. He might end up becoming a coach after one of these jobs. If Joe Brady can get a job, Clint Kubiak can end up getting a job. So seeing how very little they did, not Peyton, but Peyton did what he did toward the back end, not the same effect. But seeing what Kubiak in 1 year, no success he had here versus Dennis Allen, the crap that he did here, but having success elsewhere, it was interesting seeing that happen, man. But Clint Kubiak, offense could not work down here, but it worked in Seattle. It worked in Seattle, man. All right, yeah, going on 3 years. Okay, good. Yeah, that's Sean Payton turned his team around in 3 years, man. We can only hope for something like that here for us to make that jump next year, man. And like I said, we can do it. It's the NFC South. It's the NFC South, fam. It's the NFC South. All right, anyway, man, let's keep it going, man. All right, H-Town said, the Saints have the book. Yeah, we good. We good. We just got to fill in, like I said, the depth position, the left guard position as a whole, and we will get what we got going on. Yeah, Slim says, because Kubiak got a legit QB. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He doing, what he did with here was for us, I was like, man, that's trash. Because he was very predictable. He overused people. He did not know how to use his talent down here, but whatever he doing in Seattle, it is working. Yeah, he got who he got, Sam Darnold up there. Whatever he doing is working, man. It got him to the bowl. And it's going to get him a job on one of these teams because they got a couple of teams waiting to hire coaches, and that's because they're waiting to see how the Super Bowl, once the Super Bowl is over with, I think some of these guys will probably get a coach from one of these teams, and Kubiak might end up with one of these teams. We'll see how it all works. Paul says, Q, Shaheed and Clint Kubiak together again, but not. Yeah, indeed. That was huge. The Saints sending Rashid Shaheed out there to Seattle, man. That was a huge pickup for Seattle that really took that game to the next level because they got a bunch of weapons out there. And you got to give Clint Kubiak his credit. He's doing a stellar job out there with Seattle. He got him in the bowl, and he might get a job. He probably going to get a job as a head coach somewhere. All right, so anyway, that's what I got for y'all today, man. Y'all do me a service. Feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and by all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feed. We up in this thing, and shout out to FanDuel, man. FanDuel, the official sponsor of the sports Coma, man. And if y'all want to get y'all votes in, y'all can, or not votes, rather, if you can get your bets in, your prop bets or whatever, you can go to FanDuel on the app or whatever. And then, of course, it don't matter. NFL, NBA, NHL, college basketball, whatever. FanDuel got you covered. And I think it's a 4. I think New England got the 4. What's the spread? 4.5 for the Patriots. 4.5 favorite is the Patriots in the Super Bowl, man. Y'all get y'all bets in at FanDuel, man, and and maybe we can make some money off of Clint Kubiak for a chance, right? All right, there you go. Eastside says crazy Seattle got Darnold because Geno Smith followed Pete Carroll to Vegas, and boy, how did that was a disaster. They fired Pete Carroll after 1 year, and now, Geno Smith is going to be the odd man out, man, because they're going to get Mendoza. Mendoza is the guy. So, boy, did that crash down. Wow, things change quick in the NFL. All right, so anyway, with that saying, I'm out of here, man. I appreciate y'all. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Shout out to the Patreon champions and YouTube membership family. We got that show up right now. The latest mock show is up, breaking down the latest mock. Also for the Patreon family members at patreon.com/the Pro Media Network. The new episode of On Q with Big Q, the new show is up. The Oil War continues, Volume 3, talking about all the crazy stuff that's happening in terms of what we got going on with the U.S. and Greenland, as well as what's going on with Iran. So we got all that going on. We got the whole breakdown there with facts, stats, and everything on Q with Big Q, our news show, only available to our Patreon membership family. So with that being said, man, I'm up out of here. I'm going to holler at y'all on the next one. Peace. Much love.
Hey, New Orleans! Whether you're catching up on Saints news at Jackson Square, checking Pelicans scores in the Garden District, or staying updated on LSU while grabbing coffee in the French Quarter, there's one place that keeps you connected to everything that matters in our city. From Bourbon Street to the Superdome, from Preservation Hall to the Riverfront, New Orleanians are staying in the know with the WhoDatDaily.com. Your daily source for Saints, Pelicans, LSU, and all the sports, music, and culture that makes our city special. At work downtown, at a game in the Dome, or just relaxing by the Mississippi, wherever life takes you in the Big Easy, you can stay connected. Because when you're from New Orleans, you don't just live here. You stay in the NO. That's stay in the know. Visit the WhoDatDaily.com and never miss what matters most to WhoDatNation.
Welcome to the Pro Shop, where we create authentic, NOLA-inspired clothing for men, women, and children. From Saints jerseys to Pelicans gear, everything's crafted right here in New Orleans. Whether you're shopping the Pro Shop, the Pel Shop, or the Pro Shop Kids, we've got your whole family covered with genuine merchandise that represents our city's spirit. Check for links in the description section below or in the chat.